Holly,
I hesitate. Good morning, Natsuki.
how long have you been awake?
A couple of minutes, actually. She sits up and looks at me with a somewhat annoyed expression. Whether because of me or just being woken up isn't clear.
Are you watching me sleep?
Yes, sorta.
That's creepy, Holly.
I start to defend myself, but before I can even get a word out, she cuts me off.
I'm teasing. God, you're easy.
I frown. It's too early for jokes. Or much of anything else, really.
What time is it?
5:35 a.m. Don't worry, we've got some time before school.
So, breakfast then?
Sounds good to me. I'm not sure what I have, though. Natsuki grins at me as if I had just challenged her ability to make something delicious from scraps.
Trust me, you'll love whatever I whip up. You'd better anyways, or I won't make breakfast for you ever again.
Fair enough, but we should probably get dressed first, right?
Well, duh.
Turns out I had more than I thought. Bread, eggs, cinnamon, butter, flour, and a few other things. Natsuki really outdid herself. I tried to help, of course, but since I'm not really much of a cook, all I really did was end up making a mess. Oh well, at least one of us will clean it up later. Right now I've got a massive plate with 2 huge slices of French toast, scrambled eggs, and hash browns on it. And right next to the plate, I have a large glass of fresh orange juice. Natsuki has a nearly identical plate as well, on the other side of the table. I don't think I've eaten this well since, well, ever, really.
Don't just stare at it. Eat it, dork.
Natsuki's words snap me back to the present, and I meet her eyes. She hasn't eaten any of hers yet either. Ah, sorry, it's just a lot more than what I was expecting, to be honest. It smells and looks really good, though. Natsuki seems pleased by the praise. I pick up the fork and cut off a small piece of toast. It's covered in maple syrup and oozing off the fork. I shove the triangle in my mouth and chew. Natsuki is watching me closely as I chew, presumably looking for some sort of reaction, positive or negative. I swallow and take a sip of orange juice.
Well?
Well, what?
Do you like it?
I look down at my glass as if thinking hard about the question. That's alright, I guess. Natsuki looks like she's going to punch me. I grin. I'm joking, Natsuki. I love it almost as much as I love you. You're a really good cook. Natsuki blushes and looks down at her plate.
Idiot. I'm glad you like it so much.
Relative silence filled the room as we finished eating our meals. We decided not to talk about last night, which was probably for the best. It would just end up being awkward. After we've eaten our fill and put the dishes in the sink to be washed later, Natsuki and I split up to finish our separate tasks before school. A few minutes later, plural. Whatever. Natsuki and I are standing on the street corner outside my house waiting for Sayori. There's a slight nip in the air, so Natsuki is shaking beside me, obviously not pleased with the weather.
Why are we waiting for her exactly?
Her tone is rather sharp, but her temper probably came from being forced to stand around in the cold rather than directed at Sayori herself.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Sayori as much as the next person, but...
She doesn't finish her thought. Sayori and I always walk to school together. Natsuki stares at me. I wilt under her gaze. Well, usually anyway, when she wakes up on time. Besides, she still has a few minutes.
You really do care about her, don't you?
I pause. It was a simple question with a simple answer, but for some reason I feel like this is some sort of test. Of what, however, I have no clue. Of course I do. I mean, we've been friends since kindergarten, at least. Sure, she has her flaws, we all do, but she really turns any bad or boring day bright and cheerful just by being there. Natsuki looks down at her feet, thinking about my words. Finally, she looks up and nods.
Yeah, you're right. She really has been the heart of the club in her own way, even more so than Monica.
Silence once again fills the air while we wait, but it only lasts for a second.
What do you think my flaws are?
I'm sorry?
You said we all have flaws, what are mine?
I hesitate. It seems I've accidentally set myself up for this. Should I be honest, or should I assure her that it doesn't matter? I'll avoid the topic. Natsuki. She looks at me clearly attentive to what I'm about to say. I slide closer and put my arms around her petite frame. She blushes slightly, but doesn't react otherwise. It doesn't matter what I think or what anybody else thinks. You know you best, and I love everything about you. I wouldn't change a single thing if I could. A small grin breaks across her face as she looks up at me.
You wouldn't even wish I was taller?
Now it's my turn to smile. Nope.
Why?
Because you look cuter when you're tiny. Instantaneously, she breaks away from me and whips around to deliver a swift punch to my shoulder. There wasn't enough force behind it to leave a mark, and it's obvious she meant it as a joke.
I'm not cute!
I grinned more as I rubbed the sore spot on my shoulder. I'm teasing, of course, but you are totally cute. She huffs in mock annoyance, and the subject is dropped altogether. A few minutes pass, and I glance at my watch. It's 2 minutes past the time we were supposed to leave early. Leave already, rather. Natsuki must be aware of the time too, and she's visibly losing patience.
Look, Hallie, I don't think Siri's coming anytime soon. So let's go before we're late.
I want to argue and know that I probably should, but I can't think of any good reason to wait longer, so I just nod and agree. She turns away and starts walking down the street, so I jog to catch up to her. After a few moments, Natsuki remembers that she doesn't know her way around this part of town very well yet, so she lets me take the lead to the rest of the way. I tell her that she'll learn the route pretty quickly since there are very few turns, and it's mostly straight for half a mile after that. We arrive a few minutes before the bell rings, indicating the start of the new school day. On the one hand, I dread the upcoming classes, but on the other hand, at least there's the literature club after school. I let the thought sink in. I actually look forward to the club meetings these days. It's only been a few weeks, but I've noticed a massive turnaround in my view on the club. I make a mental note to thank Natsuki for those cupcakes on my first day. I probably wouldn't have met her otherwise. The thought saddens me, but also seems utterly foreign at the same time. I can't imagine life without her now. Is that what happens when you meet someone special?
Hey, Hallie, are you spacing out again?
Sort of, but it's not important. What's up? I can tell Natsuki is a little annoyed.
I said I'm going to go to class.
Okay, but before you go, I beckon her and she steps closer with an impatient expression. I kiss her without warning. I can sense her tensing for a moment before she relaxes and reciprocates the gesture. It's not very long, nor is it particularly intense, but the passion and warmth is there. It's only a moment after, or later, when Natsuki pulls herself away and I immediately find myself longing for the sensation once again. Out of the corner of my eye and off in the distance, I notice a gaggle of classmates standing around and staring at us. They're entirely female and, as I recall, among the more popular students, but not the type of popular that Monica is. I seem to remember Monica even mentioning them specifically.
They're the sort of people I can't stand,
She said, or something to that effect. I decide not to mention anything to Natsuki to prevent ruining the moment. If they want to judge and make snarky comments, that's their choice. It has nothing to do with me or Natsuki. Natsuki, on the other hand, is blushing furiously and struggling to keep any sense of indifference on her face. You're cute when you're flustered.
Shut up, I'm leaving now.
With that, she turns away and walks briskly into the school building, and I'm left with a horde of faceless students on all sides. Classes are over for the day. Siri wasn't in class today. As worried as I am about it, I managed to push the thought into the back of my mind. I instead focus on my girlfriend. It's still kind of strange to think of her like that. We talked in science class, not about anything in particular, just talked, and later, during lunch, we ate together. Even after all that, I still find myself craving her company. It's like when she's gone, I'm missing a part of myself. It feels lonely. That's another thing. I wonder if I really had been lonely before, and now I'm just starting to notice it. There is a saying, ignorance is bliss. It's hard to say where I stand on that. Was I happy before? I know I'm not unhappy now, and I wasn't unhappy back then, but I do fully recognize that I wasn't living the most exciting of lives. The literature club, Natsuki, and all the girls around me have pulled me out of my comfort zone. But how long could I have gone without knowing Natsuki or Yuri or Monica before I would have felt something different? Would I ever stop being unhappy? I shake the heavy thoughts from my head as I reach the clubroom door. I wonder if I should wait for Natsuki before I go inside. I don't really want to bring a lot of attention to ourselves. However, the decision is made for me when Natsuki approaches me from my right.
Hey!
Hey, how was your day?
It was fine. I was thinking about you a lot, though. I wish we had more classes together.
Yeah, same here. But we live together, so I guess we can't complain too much. Okay, we seriously skipped some steps. Maybe the distance at school isn't the worst thing in the world. I wouldn't want to get sick of you so easily. Natsuki slugs me in the arm.
Dummy.
So, this is our first club meeting since we became official. Do you think the girls will notice something is different?
Nothing's different, Hallie.
Well, we did do that. Natsuki snickers.
Do you think the other girls are like sharks when it comes to pheromones or something?
I guess I'm just nervous about how I'll come off.
Don't be. We'll be fine.
Natsuki takes my hand, asserting that she wants the other girls to notice us. I don't complain, and I open the clubroom door, walking inside with Natsuki. We quickly notice Yuri sitting there unexpectedly. What we don't expect, however, is the look she throws our way as we walk in and head for the closet. Did you notice Yuri looked at us kind of dirty there?
No, I didn't see that.
Someone's bad at lying. Natsuki grabs a random manga carelessly, which is odd considering she's usually very careful about how her volumes are handled. She nearly killed me over it when we first met. She seems a little absent-minded. As we sit down and open the book to read it, someone else walks into the room.
Hi, everybody!
Hello, Sayori. Do you mind if we speak privately? There's something I'd like to discuss with you.
That sounds a little sketchy. I shrug it off and start to read some more, then try to get Natsuki's attention so she can turn the page, but when I look at her, she's not even paying attention to the book. Natsuki?
Huh?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just fine. Let's keep reading. I really like this volume.
Yeah, me too. A moment later, Monica, tardy as always to her own club, enters the room and is quickly beckoned by Yuri to join in on her and Sayori's conversation. This congregation on the other side of the room is making me anxious. It's very suspicious that Yuri wanted to talk to everyone in the club except Natsuki and me. I stand up to address the situation.
Hallie, wait, don't!
Hey, is there something going on here you'd rather we not be in the know about?
Hey, Hallie!
At least Sayori's cheeriness is still all present. I can't decide if cheeriness is actually... I guess it's maybe a word. Cheerfulness is what I'm used to seeing. Hi, Sayori. Do you care to fill me in on what's going on here?
Hallie, let's talk outside for a minute, just one-on-one.
I look at Yuri, who's still yet to say a word to me, then look at Sayori, who's looking back and forth between myself, Natsuki sitting on the floor, look at Sayori, who's looking back and forth between myself, Natsuki sitting on the other end of the room. There, yeah, you need an and in there. As I walk out the door with Monica, I notice Sayori sit down and start rubbing an eraser up and down the desk. Monica and I leave the room and close the door behind us, and she starts to speak up.
Listen, Hallie, I want to preface this by saying I'm not taking anyone's side here. If I'm being honest, I think Yuri is being a little bit too reactive. But she's concerned.
About what? Monica sighs.
She's concerned about how you're influencing Natsuki.
Excuse me? I'm gonna have to give that purple-haired snob a piece of my mind.
Hey, relax.
Monica grabs me by the arm to pull me back to my previous spot and calm me down.
Look, she's being very vague, but essentially she's worried about the impact you and Natsuki's relationship will have on club affairs. I don't want you to think I'm trying to get between you and Natsuki, but I think it'd be best to take things a little more subtly while the club is in session.
Really? You're trying to suppress our relationship just because Yuri is kind of uncomfortable?
It's not just Yuri.
What are you... Oh. I think about the way Sayori looked a minute ago. I wonder if she's being affected by this too.
Look, I want you and Natsuki to be happy, but this club is important to me, and I don't want it to fall apart at the seams.
It sounds like you don't trust us.
I'd appreciate it if you didn't put words in my mouth, Hallie.
Sorry. Something about that shift of tone in her voice was very alarming and intimidating. Wait, hold on a second. Something about that shift of tone is her voice. Sorry.
As club president, and as your friend, I just want what's best for everyone in the club. And like I said, I'm not taking sides here. I'm looking at things objectively, not emotionally.
I absorb what Monica says, and as long as she's speaking purely objectively, I guess I can't argue with her. I'll do whatever she thinks is right, so that the club can stay intact. Monica and I return to the room and catch sight of Yuri and Sayori now minding their own business, while Natsuki waits impatiently for my return. I give Monica a nod of understanding, then walk over to Natsuki. I feel like Natsuki should know about what Monica and I just talked about, but I know how she can be, and I don't want her to snap in the middle of the club meeting. I want to heed Monica's advice, so maybe it'd be best to spend the time with someone else during the club meeting today. Hey Natsuki, listen. You and I spend a lot of time together, right?
Yeah, duh.
Well, club is the one time we have where we can do something a little different. Why don't we take advantage of that and each spend some time with someone else?
You don't want to read with me?
No, that's not it. I'd love to read with you, but I think we should expand our horizons a little bit, you know? I don't want us to forget that we have more people in our lives than just each other. Everyone here really cares about each other, so let's let them know we care about them. Natsuki forces a smile at first, but soon it looks genuine.
Sure, I'd like to do that. I wouldn't want to get sick of you so easily.
Hey, you little jerk. Natsuki smiles at me.
So, who are you going to spend time with?
Who am I going to spend time with? Oh, Monica. Why no Monica? Meh. I called Yuri a snob. I'm picking her. I can talk to Yuri. I think that'd be best for both of us.
Okay, cool. So then I can go hang out with Sayori.
Natsuki excitedly stands up and trots over to Sayori, and they sit together chatting like old pals. I actually wonder how close the two of them really are. I might have to ask about that at some point. I figure I've wasted enough time, so I stand up and walk over toward Yuri. I clear my throat to grab her attention. Good afternoon, Yuri.
Good afternoon, Hallie.
So, what you doing?
I'm reading, evidently.
She sure is. She has her book out in front of her and everything. Looks like reading to me. Wait, why am I having this inner monologue? Well, would you like to read with me? I'd like to hear more about the book you're enjoying.
To be honest, I'm not enjoying it very much. It seems a little, I don't know, unwelcomed in a few places.
Yeah, I hate stuff that feels unwelcomed. Yuri gives me a blank gaze. Am I bothering you?
I wouldn't necessarily say you're bothering me, but I was hoping for some alone time. But I'm sorry if I made you feel offended.
That was a weird personality shift, but I'll let it go.
But how about you and I share some tea?
Oh, sure, that sounds great.
Very well. Would you like to accompany me to get some water?
Yeah, totally. Yuri stands up and marks her page, then reaches into her bag and grabs her pitcher, then the boiler. She plugs it in and sets it on the desk, then beckons me to follow her out into the hallway.